Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today, we commence a part 2 of our series on Fali Nariman, eminent jurist, former member of parliament, president of the Bar Association for close to 2 decades, an eminent public figure who lived a full life of 95 years. And today, we do this show to celebrate his life because for individuals who've led a full life, we celebrate their life. There is no mourning, there is celebration. Celebration that a man has lived a full and a life in which he contributed to society, earned the respect of people not only in India, but the world over. And that is why we're going to discuss what all he did, how he contributed, and the life and times of Fali Nariman is how we Christian this show. And to speak on him, we have an equally eminent guest. May I welcome Justice Arjun Kumar Sikri. Good to see you. For people who watch this show, they all know him, but this is a show for a much wider audience. He is one of India's busiest arbitrators today, great commercial mind, served as the judge of the Supreme Court of India, earlier was the Chief Justice of 2 high courts. More than that, he's currently the sitting judge of the Singapore International Commercial Court. But first and foremost, one of our most respected arbitrators in India. Good to see you. And at the outset, when we speak of senior advocate Fali Nariman and the 95 years that he's lived, would you want to go back to your personal association and start, and then we move on?
Yeah, Tarun, you have rightly said that we are here to celebrate his life and not to mourn his life. 95 years, which means almost a full century. So it's an era. He lived, his life can be treated in that fashion. And there's much, much more to learn from that life and much more to celebrate about that life. Why, I will say at the outset, why after his demise 2 days ago, that there are so many columns, there are so many writings all over, there is so much of, I would say even funfair about his life, and so much is talked about him. Persons right from President of India, our Chief Justice and other Chief Justices, and many retired Supreme Court and other judges, many stalwarts, legal luminaries, many of his, who have been his companions or who have seen closely, they have all been speaking about him. It is, and it is coming as if spontaneously. We all want to talk about him. So it is because of love and respect for him. And that is what he commanded, and that is what he earned during his entire life. I had association with him. Actually, very interestingly, his son, Justice Nariman, we were together in college, Shriram College. Of course, he was 2 years junior to me. When I was in the final year of BCom honors, he was in first year, but we became friends. And to that, I naturally came to know about him also. And initially, after I finished law, I wanted to join Fali at that time. I talked to him, Rohinton about it. We had a sitting, and along with Fali also, we discussed that, and he was of the opinion that no, you come to Supreme Court little later. First, practice for some time in the High Court, where you will learn more. Yes, whenever you have a case in the Supreme Court and you want to be associated with him, you are most welcome. And he gave me very useful, advices and counseling at the threshold when I had just entered the profession and I had enrolled myself. And another thing which I learned from him at that stage itself, that he was a keen learner. I mean, he knew that as a lawyer, and when you are in the field of law, every day you learn. And how I witnessed from one anecdote, if I will tell you, when during this kind of discussion, when it was going on about my placement, I called Rohinton in the morning. It was about maybe quarter to 10 in the morning. And after when we were discussing discuss for 2 3 minutes, he said, "Oh, my dad is calling me because we are going to Supreme Court." And Rohinton was still a final year student or maybe a second year student in law at that time, because then we were in law also together, but he was 2 years junior to me. And he said, he's calling, we are going to Supreme Court. I said, you are going to Supreme Court? He said, yes. And you know what he told me was really amazing. And the respect for Fali grew much more after that. He said that the very famous Minerva Mills case, which was being argued, it was sometime in 1977, 8 or 1980, 1978. And Palkiwala had come to argue that case. He says, my dad is going to hear Palkiwala, his argument. A person who had already attained such a stature, he had been ASG, etc. At that time, maybe in the Supreme Court, he was the top lawyer. But he still wanted to learn, and he said that no, I should not miss this opportunity to hear Palkiwala when he is arguing in the Supreme Court, because Palkiwala had his own statement and everybody knows about it. And that is what really is amazing. And if you see after, last 2 3 days, many people, as I said, have been saying, and the many adjectives which are used in respect of him. It is said he was a great giant and an intellectual. Our Chief Justice has said this. And somebody has said he was conscience keeper for judicial institutions. Our President of India, she has said he was titan among legal luminaries. And I feel, and many have said this, that you will never get another Fali. I mean, this is the best thing. You will never get another Fali. And an era has gone. I mean, these are one of the richest tributes, and all are coming from people's from their heart. It's not that as it is ritually somebody dies, people speak good about him. But it is not that kind of case. It is what is factually here, and the people are speaking from their heart what they feel about Fali. And as I remember in Aadhaar judgment, I had started with the quote that it's better to be unique than the best, because as best you may be one of many, as unique you are the only person. I think he was unique in every sense, and he was the only Fali person that is Fali, and we will never get another Fali. So that is what I feel about him, and I tell you some of the things which I say about him. First, let me tell that we have mentioned about the respect, etc., which is gaining. I say that to say that he is tremendously reputed would be a gross understatement. What is to be said more than this, that he was loved by all. And so therefore the respect which he gained, it was not out of any fear, out of any his commanding personality, etc., but it was because of tremendous love for him, the kind of person which he was. And as a lawyer, everybody knows he has been one of the most successful lawyer. In his time, he was the top lawyer, which and that period was also very, very long when he was on the top of his profession, and that era, we know it. And we know he was very articulate, as I have seen him, to the point. He will structure his argument, will very clearly structure his argument, and he know what are the goods points which are to be hammered. And not unlike many, there are many good, very good seniors also, but they will keep on and on and on, whether it is in proper direction or not. It was not with him. Will be precise, articulate, make his points, and then leave it. And when arguing a point, another quality which I found in him as a lawyer also, when I had briefed in so many occasions, and as a judge also when he appeared before me, that was that, look, he was forthright. He knew what is right, what is wrong, and he would not argue what he did not feel himself to be correct. Many times lawyers argue, say, okay, let us take a chance and argue. But if he is not convinced, he will not make that argument. And I tell you, I'm reminded of uh, this, Bob Dylan, a very famous filmmaker who has got this, the Golden Globe prizes, etc. Also, and he has said, and I think that resonates with his personality of Nariman. He says in one of the interviews, he said, "You cannot be a slave to your emotions. If you are a slave to your emotions, you are dependent on your emotions, and you are only dealing with your conscious mind. You have to be faithful to your subconscious, to your unconscious, to your superconscious, as well as your conscience. Of course, about your conscience, but more than that, he says your subconscious, superconscious, and unconscious also. And integrity is a facet of honesty. That quality was with Fali. And when he would argue, he was very clear not only what is in his conscience, but what is in his subconscious also, and what is in his superconscious also. He had that knack to grasp those things and then maintain that kind of integrity while arguing the cases, which is really good. A person who is otherwise a perfectionist, and a person who would, as I said, very forthright and would not argue anything for the sake of it. And if he once he was prepared, he would not, because it's not that he was the only person during his lifetime. There were many others, and many times they would argue against each other in the court. But I have seen many very, very good advocates also, when they face or they find an equally good or a better opponent, they are little hesitant in arguing, or they are little phased. But he was one person. I remember in one case, he was arguing on one side, and on the other side there was a battery of lawyer and four or five very, very big senior lawyers of his stature, of his. I remember he just looked at them. Okay, four or five, add one or two more. I can deal with everything because I'm prepared with my case. I'm alone enough for you. That was the confidence in him. And it is with this confidence that he used to argue, and he would never be faced by the opponent or the style, etc. He knew, if I have a good case, I'm going to win. And I have no problem. And if the case is not good and the judge is not with me, okay, even if junior most counsel appears against me, he'll be able to carry the day. So therefore, once he is prepared, then he will not bother who is opposing him and how much important person that may be. Another quality, which is rare quality nowadays, he was always very respectful to the bench. He always, when he would appear in the court, he would see that those judges sitting on the bench, they are not the only person X or Y who are sitting on the bench. They are sitting on the seat of justice, and we are in the temple of justice. And therefore, he would argue with all humility, and he would be always respectful. I hardly saw him raising his voice during argument, which has become fashion nowadays, particularly against each other and sometimes even at the bench. But he would not do that. Yes, he will put up his point with firmness. Not that he will not. He will be firm in whatever he would say. So that was his qualities as a lawyer. But then he was not only a lawyer, as we know. He has donned many hats, many roles he has played. A person who was a excellent speaker. He was an excellent writer. And insofar as field of law is concerned, he has excelled almost in every field. But two things which come to my mind is one, commercial laws. Very much, he was at his best, and other constitutional law. And as far as commercial law is concerned, let me tell you again from my experience, he had become known to the entire world. And he was not only famous within India, he had crossed the boundaries of every important organization. I'm, let's say, talking about the arbitration law itself. In arbitration, whichever is the organization. He had, held many posts of president, secretary, etc., in various international organizations, and respect all over. After my retirement, when I started having international arbitrations, and I was going out, and I have been going even now, and whosoever, any institution, their persons would come and they would talk, or the very famous arbitrators who would be with me, and then the moment we are introduced, the first thing we will say, "How is Fali?" And everybody in the world knows him. I mean, that is his beauty. And it's not only that they would say, how is he, how is doing nowadays. They will have, everybody will have their own stories to tell, their own anecdotes to tell when they came in contact with Fali. That is the mark which he made. That is the impression which he created in the minds of everybody to whomsoever he met, not only in India, but the world abroad. And when it comes to the constitution and constitutional law, etc., apart from arguing with all flavor and fervor the cases in the court, he was wedded to constitutionalism with liberal democracy. What are the ethos? What are the real ingredients of constitution? Doesn't mean our simple constitution of India as it is from Article 1 to last article. No. What is the soul of this constitution? That is, and we are founded on liberal democracy, and constitutionalism demands much more than that. And this is where the dignity of people is to be respected, human rights of these persons are to be respected more than human rights of all persons. It is the human rights or the dignity of those who are in minority, those who are belong to marginalized section of the society. Therefore, at the same time, he was for social justice as well. So this is what made him great, and a great exponent of human rights. He would speak wherever, and therefore, in his speeches and in his writings, you will find, if I may say, two things. One is very straight, will call spade a spade. And where somebody has done good job, will have all praise for him also. It's a stick and carrot policy like that. But naturally, at the age of the later ages, when you are 85, you are 90, you are the doyen of the bar, you are Bhish Pitama of the bar, and naturally, you have every right to preach also. You have every right to, when you share your experiences, you have every right to say all this. So, therefore, he has written a lot about the reforms which should take place in our judiciary, the judicial system, in our legal system, in our legal profession, and even in like arbitration law, etc. His writings are replete with that. And another thing which I find him is that he was a very popular speaker. When he would give his speech, which would be full of anecdotes and stories, it would make so interesting. And I was reading, Mr. Sudesh Pai. He has written an article on him. I think it is published in Live Law or somewhere today. And he says, when he spoke, the air was still. The mute wondered love in men's ears to steal his sweet and honeyed sentences. So it is this he was, a colossus sound lawyer and a consummate advocate. He perhaps was the finest advocate of his time. That is what he writes about him, and very correctly so. And all these kinds of, accolades are coming about him. And another one thing more I would say, that he was a true leader, more than a leader. He was a perfect coach. When I described him as a coach, means how he would train the juniors who would come before him to assist him in a case, to brief him in a case, or a junior bar otherwise, because he has given many lectures to the junior bar how to become good advocates, etc. And here, something which people, advocates, they all know. When you go to him and you want to brief him, you should know know everything about your case A to Z, at what page, what it is, and you should have done your research so well, because he was very crude and very blunt. And if you are not able to answer, etc., sometimes throw file at you. So I mean, but I would say that in that sense, he was, as I've said, that stern teacher who is asking you to prepare well. He would guide you that how you have to prepare, then prepare well, go to him, and then he will stand up for you. He stood for you. That is what his quality was. Then that is how he would become. He was one of the best coaches also in our legal profession. If I sum up at the end, I wanted to. This idea was coming to in my mind that look, in our law schools today there should be some courses. Of course, it can't be a course for teaching, etc., on which you have to take your exams, but some study material, courses, or where the student should know, even when there are students in there, they should be taught about the lives of great jurists, whether they were judges or lawyers like Fali, who have devoted their life to this legal profession, because from these stalwarts they can enthuse, they can inspire the student to, and they would be instilled the precepts of morality and ethics, which is very, very important in today's profession. All these qualities which I have narrated, if a law student comes to know and he gets inspired, okay, if I imbibe these qualities, I may also become one day Fali, who may be, which may be the desire of each and every law student or young lawyer today. So therefore, it's not only here I'm saying about Fali, but all great stalwarts who have been, that from their life, what are the lessons you can learn from the life of each, and those should be told to them. And if I may summarize, insofar as lessons from Fali's life are concerned, you can see from professional battles to personal mastery. It's professional battles you will learn, but how to have that personal mastery, from delivering results to making an impact, from aggressive to assertive and authentic. It's not mere aggression, but from aggressive, I think, deviate from that and be more assertive and more authentic. That is what he earned. From being a directive captain to being an empowering coach, which I said just now, who teaches how to move from doubts and insecurity to inner strength and confidence, which he would instill in the persons who came to, whom he, I would say, in inverted commas, taught as a senior, because every senior you learn something and they are your teachers and coaches in that sense. From fixed ideas to reform beliefs and holistic well-being and balance in life. And this, in sum up, I say that these are the lessons which we can learn from.
One thing that I want to ask you as a subsequent question to what you said. Some personal qualities of his, they say that you have a passion for exercising. Fali Nariman had a passion for exercising. His walks, every day walk was, I think, most famous.
Yes, well, you are right. He would never compromise on that. He had to walk, and I think it was not even less for 20-30 minutes, almost 1 hour, and even more than 1 hour walk every day he had to have. Therefore, if you feel, if you can find, he was one person. Because of this, he was not only physically fit, but mentally alert till end. One day before his death, he was 2 or 3 lawyers told at his when his last rites were performed, and we were there, that I had gone and we were briefing him. He had to appear in a case next day. At the age of 95, you are not only physically alert that you can come to you are mentally alert. And then, this is something unique, and it comes from this kind of health. If you maintain this health, that is another.
There is one more thing. Is it health plus work? I want to know from, because you keep a very busy schedule. But but you're like about 3 decades close to younger to him in that sense. So, I
Yes.
mean, working all through your 70s, 80s, and even 90s. So, basically, if you see a Supreme Court judge retires at 65, 95 is 30 years away from 65. So, working for 30 full years.
Yes.
It is a lifetime. It is an entire lifetime.
30 is another full career in that sense. Yeah.
Yes.
And that is what is remarkable. And we should also, as judges, retired judges, should learn from him. And that is where you maintain your good health, because that makes your mental faculties also alert. And you have this kind of, I don't know, in one way, I would say this family is blessed as far as mental health is concerned. I think you must have come across, as when we come to Rohinton, Justice Rohinton, his memory of. I'm amazed because I have spent so many years with him on the bench also together, and I know the kind of memory he has. Even if he has to give a lecture for 2 hours or 4 hours, he will not have even one slip from where he would see the notes, etc. What to talk of full prepared, and
But
everything is there.
coming back to Fali Nariman, I want to know one thing from you. As recently as about 3-4 weeks ago, uh, I think 6 weeks ago, he was at the India International Center, standing on his 2 feet behind a mic and lecturing for 1 full hour. And that was an event that I was invited to, and he spoke for an hour. And it amazed people that he didn't request that he wanted to be seated. Tell me, is it work that keeps people going in your view?
Yeah, work is, you see, as I say, it's, and last thing which I said, holistic well-being and balance in life. If you remember that from fixed idea and reform beliefs, and from this to holistic well-being, this is the, I think, holistic well-being, that was that I have to take care of my physical health, I have to take care of my mental health. And mental health is what? Mental health is when
You're working.
Because and you are still working so long as you can work, and it is not necessarily that in the profession or otherwise, but you should keep yourself mentally occupied. That and if you remember, I mean, many doctors also, they say, at the late age, and if you want to keep your mind alert, play some arithmetical or some other games. Even that is always better. Any game you play of this nature, whether it may be chess, it may be even Ludo, any such game. And there are now hundreds and thousands of games on your laptop and other places which you know in digital mode. But they are very good for alerting your mind and keeping the memory good, in a good form. And I think he knew it, and he had been doing all this. That is that may be, Tarun, you have said rightly. I think that should be the biggest lesson from his life.
Yes, yes. I mean, the tenacity to work, the tenacity to keep on working till the end, right till the end. Indeed, it was a pleasure to have this discussion with you today. We could discuss the life and times of Fali Nariman. You brought in many personal anecdotes as well and enriched this discussion. His life is indeed has many lessons for all of us, and I appreciate that you could bring forth those lessons. I really appreciate your joining us. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.